Chris Mills with surfstrengthcoach.com. I'm going to change the way you think about surf fitness and give you an understanding of stuff that you should work on. It's really just about athletic preparation, making sure your body can move the way it needs to so you can perform your sport or your hobby. In our case, it's surfing. I also want to do this. There's a lot of silliness on the internet. This is going to give people clarity. This is also giving insight for those of you in Carlsbad, California. A full-day seminar at Nakoa Fitness and Physical Therapy, April 11th. This is some of what we're going over to give you better insight into whether or not you should come to this seminar. All the registration info is below. Call Nakoa. If you want to improve your body, improve the way you work on your body, get a better understanding of what you should do, and improve your surfing, your skill, come to this seminar, get registered. If you got any questions, get in touch. For everybody else not in Carlsbad, I'm going to try to keep this short. I'm condensing years of training thought into a 5-minute YouTube video. Performance pyramid. This is by a guy named Gray Cook. It's just a really easy way for people to understand what we're trying to do with fitness, surf fitness, athletic preparation. Skill at the top, performance in the middle, movement fundamentals at the bottom. We need to improve our skill. We're surfers. Spend time in the water surfing, practicing surfing. That's the way to improve your skill. Practice. What we want to do with our training or your movement and really how do we quickly improve your skill is make sure the foundations are in place. Fundamental movements is the base foundation. Do you move properly? Do you have proper range of motion through joints? Does your core function properly? Are you stabilizing your lumbar spine? Can you move your hips? Can you breathe properly? These fundamentals of movement. We are going to hit these on the day heavily. For everybody else, be aware that these are important because they're the foundations of athletic movement, okay? We then look at our sport, surfing. The dominant movement patterns: squatting, lunging, pushing, pulling, twisting, and bending. Those are the primary movement patterns. This primal movement pattern is a thought process by Paul Chek, smart dude. Those are the movement patterns you need to be able to do well because that's what we do while we're surfing. So if you don't have the flexibility to perform a proper squat or a proper lunge, or you don't know how to stabilize your spine and perform a proper bend pattern, these are limiting your skill improvement because you don't have the fundamental movements in place. So if you have problems with a joint and can't push because your shoulder hurts, you can't pull because your shoulder hurts, you can't perform the basic fundamental movements of the sport, so you need to rehab that joint. On the day, we will go through all these fundamental movement patterns and how to improve them, and then you train for performance, which is strength or power or endurance. It's these kind of like physical qualities. These things provide the buffer for skill. If you're not strong enough or powerful enough, you could limit your skill improvement just because you don't have that base there. You might be a good surfer. How do we get you better? We might get you stronger, or we might get you more powerful, or we might get you more flexible, because that then gives you more room to improve your skill. Not the silly shit on the internet of surf fitness stuff. That's where functional training starts kind of losing the plot, man. And so performance pyramid. These fundamentals are vitally important. Then you get stronger and more powerful and faster, and make sure the flexibility is in place so that you can get a technique coach, go out in the water and improve your skill. But you don't want to be limited because you're too weak, or you're not strong enough, or you're not powerful enough, or you're not flexible enough, or you can't move a shoulder properly. Those are problems. That's what surf fitness is, in my eyes. It's just athletic preparation and improvement, making sure that you can move properly in the fundamental movement patterns, so then you can start training the more high dynamic, kind of high speed professional level stuff, you know, like the big kettlebell swings and high speed chops and medicine ball throws and stuff like that. Make sure you can squat, lunge, bend, twist, breathe properly. That's that performance pyramid, okay? We are going to distinguish that even more on the day and start hitting on these things that help improve performance and your movement fundamentals. This is some of the list of what we'll be covering on the day. These are some things for you guys out there to start considering about what you should put in your training or not. Flexibility drills. So your type of stretch, warm up, are you hitting key areas that require movement? Thoracic spine, shoulders, hips, ankle. We'll go through individual flexibility drills for each segment. We'll also start looking at the joint mobility and pain relief. So that's where we look at tissue release, particular stretching around joints. Are you doing the stretches you need to? Are you doing tennis ball release work through the pecs, pec minor, the lat, teres major, through hip joints? We need to have fundamental movement through some joints so that we can improve the way we move, improve your skill in the water. Breathing, huge. People don't breathe properly. It's all neck breathing. It's all this extra tension. It leads to pain syndromes. It's also really inefficient, and the reason this is important for surfers, you can't get proper inhales and exhales if you're getting hold downs. Let's say you know you're about to cop like an 8-footer on the head. You need to properly get oxygen into your systems. There are key ways of breathing, which I'll teach you, and also proper diaphragmatic breathing for core function, but also recovery. If you're paddling your ass off, catch a wave in, paddle back out, you want to be able to recover quickly just so you're ready to go for the next wave. Proper breathing will help reduce the stress, reduce the heart rate, balance out oxygen and CO2 levels. Movement fundamentals, lunging, twisting, what are the basic twist training options we want to use? Pal-off presses for core stability at first, horse stance, bird dogs for core stability, moving into medicine ball throws and chops, things of that nature. Proper squat patterns, proper bend patterns, so we can get you to deadlifts and then cleans if need be, or kettlebell swings, high speed, one arm kind of swings. Rotational training. Surfing is rotation, man. You need to properly turn, you need to be able to rotate, open up through the shoulder joint properly, rotate through the spine, thoracic spine mobility, make sure the hips are opening up. We'll go through all these key movement components of how to make sure that's happening properly, but make sure you have the flexibility to rotate, and then proper rotational training, med ball throws, chops, proper core stability work. It's fun stuff. It can be high speed. It needs to get there safely. You need to be able to breathe properly for proper core functions. We can get into good core training and keep you out of back pain, man. Power development. Surfers need to be strong and powerful. That doesn't mean bulkiness, getting my fucking roids on. Doesn't mean bulky necessarily, but we need your nervous system to be strong and recruit muscle fibers really quite quickly. It's a big thing for injury prevention. Being stronger and powerful just gives you more athletic capacity no matter what you're doing. Again, in our case, it's surfing. So we'll go through proper movement patterns and how to effectively train them for power. An easy one is jumps. Lots of jumps, rotational jumps, box jumps, but do them smartly, not like all the CrossFitters. Deceleration training. That's a big one. You can look at lunge patterns, squat patterns, bend patterns, and learning how to absorb force. This is huge for injury prevention. Skaters, surfers, snowboarding, you're throwing force out there, but then snow or the water or the pavement is driving force back into you, from landing a big ollie off a ramp to landing a floater or an air. I'm not doing no airs. You need to be able to absorb force properly. So make sure all the joints can absorb force, that they can move properly, how to stabilize it. Really easy and efficient methods of training to put into your training. People just need to be aware of it. Energy system training. You need to be able to move and paddle your ass off. So there's really efficient ways to train for endurance that carry over a bit more efficiently to the sport. Jumping rope is a way. Rope swings is another method. Circuit training is another method where you're doing a series of big movement patterns one after the other to improve your ability to just produce energy for longer periods of time. Think paddling. So you can look towards a lot of upper body circuits where you're constantly using, what am I doing with my arms? I've been doing that the whole video. Producing energy, efficient training so your body can withstand energy demands. So that's just some of what we'll be hitting on the day. Again, I hope to see you there. Get registered. That was a really brief synopsis of training methodology. If you have questions, if all of that is new to you, get in touch. If you have questions about the seminar, get in touch. All the registration is below. It's just about being smart, looking at what the sport requires, what you're limited in. Like if your knee joint hurts and you can't lunge, that's a problem. Go rehab your knee joint. Maybe you need proper tissue release around there. We'll go through the fundamental movements, things that everybody should be working on. If you've got an interest in improving your sport, improve the fundamentals, do some smart training, come to this seminar. If you got questions, get in touch. Hope to see you in Carlsbad and improve the way you move.